Welcome back, Tulare fans. Today's video is going to be on the internet service and how to configure it. So when we have traffic traversing the two Tulares, conduit from one Tulare to another, we call it the conduit service. Now if it's going from the Tulare to the internet, www.whateverit is.com, then that's called the internet service, right? So it's sourcing from a Tulare, destined for the internet, and there's no Tulare on the far side, and it's using the internet service. Well, why is the internet service important? Well, it allows us to keep track of the bandwidth that's on this internet link. So now we know the bandwidth used by the conduit service going to another Tulare and the bandwidth used by the internet going to the internet sites. So now we can continue to perform RSVP functions and prevent oversubscription of the WAN link, whether it's WAN ingress or WAN egress, and that way we keep the traffic flowing smooth and great, right? So there's a couple considerations before we get to the configuration section. Number one, the internet, when we configure internet, has to be on a trusted link. We can tell there's a firewall here, so this is probably going to be configured as trusted. We're sitting behind a firewall. And then the next thing is the firewall must be performing NAT. The Tulare cannot function the NAT, so you're going to need that firewall to NAT your internet traffic. Alright, let's get to configuring. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to connections. We'll go to the Raleigh site, and then we'll go to internet, hit add. Alright, and it gives us some options. Enable primary reclaim. This is if we had multiple internet links, you know, and one went primary, secondary. What do you do if the other one came back, right? So by default it's checked to reclaim. Default set, that's if we had rules and had certain rules added to the internet service. At this time we don't. Ignore WAN link status. This has to do with the routes and what do we do with those routes. Now when the WAN link goes bad, export default route. Now this is if we're doing WAN-to-WAN forwarding, who do we share this route with? At this time we're the NCN. We'll be exporting this default route 000 to the remotes. If I turn this off, it says, hey, I just want it locally at this site. I don't want it to go everywhere else. Alright, and we're just going to do it locally at this site for now. Okay? Alright. And then WAN links. WAN links. What do we do? Well, we're going to turn it on a WAN link. The internet service will be tied to a WAN link. So if we looked at the diagram, it was going out in the internet link, the Raleigh internet link, and then there will be modes. There's primary mode, which means, you know, primary, you have one link. Secondary, if I had two internet links, I could set one as primary and one as secondary. If the primary went away, I would go to secondary. Or I could set it as balance, which means, you know, do some internet load balancing between the two links, send some internet traffic down each one, right? So those are our options there. We do have some WAN ingress, some max delays, and tagging if we need to set the tagging. Typically that's only used in PBR situations. If we're doing some policy-based routing, WAN egress, we need to match on tag or something like that. Typically you don't see that in configuration. Alright, so you're going to hit apply. Alright, and we have the internet service configured. Now the only thing to really think about here is the provisioning, and there is another video that talks about provisioning, whether you want to wait your actual internet service to say I want more internet service on this link than conduit or not, or I want it 50-50 on the shares. So I urge you to look at the provisioning video as well. And the one last thing I want to show you is where that internet route got added. If we go up to the Raleigh site and take a look at the routes, there'll be a 000 route that says anything unknown, send out that internet link. Alright, well that's how you configure the internet service, and thank you for your time, and get to Tularian.